Hello and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and tag some people here. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Alrighty. There we go. All right, we're going to get started here. So we've been going over the book Winning with People by John Maxwell. Today, we're on the 101% principle. So find the 1% we agree on and give it 100% of our effort. So if two men on the same job agree all the time, then one is useless. If they disagree all the time, they both are useless. So ask yourself, can I find common ground, and will I give 100% of my effort? So you're not going to see eye to eye with everyone all the time. Heck, some people you will have nothing in common with at all. But in business, you have to find that common goal that this person wants, that you both want to achieve, or that you've already achieved and you can show them, and that way that is where you guys find your commonality to give your 100%. So, when to practice the 101% principle. This principle takes a big commitment of time, your energy, and your thinking. So before practicing this principle, you really want to ask these questions. Is this person worth my commitment? So you got to be careful of who you put all your time and effort into. Now, usually, in the line of people in your life, your spouse is first, your family second, the people on your team are third, and your friends are fourth. And sometimes they go back and forth because we have a lot of friends in our team as well. So, but you have to balance that out of who is taking up the most of your time. Also, who is working, because you don't want to be giving all your time to somebody who isn't doing anything. So if you don't see that they're making the conscious effort to be doing their presentations and getting people in front of you, that's not somebody you want to be giving your 100%. You want to give all your time and energy to the people who are working. Now, you can still reach out to people and make sure that they're doing well, because sometimes when people get into network marketing, life happens. So you have to be patient with some people and just reach out to them every once in a while and say, hey, how are you doing? I just want to catch up. And when they are ready, they'll tell you, and that way you're able to take them and be like, okay, now let's get some work done. But you have to talk with them, but you don't want to spend all your time with the people who aren't doing the work. You want to make sure you're giving your energy to the people who need it. So the next one, is the situation worth the commitment? So most situations where disagreements occur are short term. In such cases, keep in mind that this too shall pass, and it'll go, and save your energy for scenarios where your time and attention is more for the long term. Next one, is the issue worth the commitment? So when an issue touches a priority in your life or impacts one of your values, you want to use the 101 principle. And if it doesn't, you need to think twice about it. Is the return worth the commitment? Anytime you spend time with people, it's worth the commitment, but you have to weigh out like, okay, does this make sense to do right now, or is this something that I can do later? And people are very bad at prioritizing, especially when it's your to-do list throughout the day. We spend a lot of time doing little nitpicky stuff that really does not make sense to do right now. You need to get all your important stuff done first before you focus on the little stuff. So with that, I'm going to have Jeff take over. I am on how does practicing the 101% principle benefit you?
Okay, so first of all, welcome. We got Bill here. Andrea, how are you? Hello, Shamala. So how does this benefit you? By focusing on the 1% and then kind of giving it your all. It allows you to build a foundation for change. When you want to influence somebody, the change is always the way they see or do something. They shouldn't try to initiate change in the area where you disagree. So if you kind of want to move forward, you have to pick a subject or pick a topic that everybody agrees upon, and that's how you're going to build the foundation for everything and then kind of go from there. Change begins with common ground. By practicing the principle, you'll find common ground, and then you can expand upon it. Well, what else do we have in common, and kind of go from there? 2, it prevents unnecessary conflict. It's hard to agree with people when they're right, or disagree with people when they're right. So you start out by, let's say everybody likes food, and you start by saying, yeah, so what's your favorite food? And if everybody has that food in common, it's like that's a starting ground for a conversation, and is easy to talk about and bring up. 3, it reduces the odds of making enemies. Most people make enemies quickly because they tend to talk or voice their opinion on super controversial subjects, and then there is no way to come back, to common ground, because it's like, okay, you're offensive and or negative right off the bat, and then you're trying to use a fishing pole to drag everybody back into the circle to have a conversation, and you just screwed yourself. There's no way to come back. And people just tune out and turn off. It keeps something of value that could otherwise be lost. How many potential rewarding relationships have you missed because you focused on differences instead of common ground? The world is becoming bigger and more integrated with different ideas. So, having those conversations is important. It helps you feel good about your part of the relationship. If you can find common ground, you did something to help and connect with other people. It's not always easy. It enables you to make the best of very difficult situations. When people are in turmoil and argument, to find the common ground that everybody's looking for. The happiest people don't necessarily have the best of everything. They just make the best of everything. So here's some discussion principles. Have you ever met somebody who seems to practice the 101 principle? What personality qualities or what personal qualities does this person possess and make them good at connecting with others? Number 1, usually they're people. I found there's a reason usually why they're doing it. Whether it's because of a big organization where offending people would not be smart. They hold, a position in something that by offending people on a regular basis, they're not going to be able to grow their influence. They're not going to be able to grow their company large. And I've seen this like recently a lot. 2, which relationship in your life warrants this use? Well, I think every relationship warrants this use. You're always going to have some disagreements on certain things with people. Having the conversation, focusing on what you do like and what you do have in common, and then asking questions. That's the biggest thing. If you want to create change, you have to first, and I heard this great scenario, and it was on influence. And the reality is once you learn some of the techniques that I've read about and studied, once you learn them, you can convince anybody of anything. And that's no joke. It's been shown, it's been proven, it's been taught in schools, not traditional schools, but, you know, influence schools for a long time. It's usually passed from one teacher to another. And I don't mean like teacher like in school. I'm talking about like people who teach this kind of thing. But you want to learn at least how to do it. And the first thing to do is to agree upon the vantage point. To agree upon the vantage point. If you can agree upon the vantage point, then you can change the vantage point and say, what do you see from this vantage point? And that's kind of how you can start the process of, you know, basically changing what somebody's thinking about a certain situation. Which situations are just not worth the effort required to implement this principle. I mean, certain times you can just tell at the core there's just something messed up. John talks about hurt people. When you realize there's something at the core that people just want the worst for others because they're hurting so bad, they just want everybody else to, you know, destruction, destroyed. Sometimes it comes across very subtly because they have mastered certain people skills, so they don't seem like they're that horrible. But if you really look at the intent of what they're doing, they can do it with a smile and destroy. Those are people you want to basically avoid at all costs. And, you know, I unfollowed about 37 people yesterday. Now, I didn't unfriend them, I unfollowed them, and there's a difference. When you unfriend somebody, there's no connection at all. When you unfollow them, you just don't have to see anything they post. But you can still influence them. So there were about 30-some yesterday. I started out, there's already 2 this morning. So this is just something that happens. You know, when you just tell this person at the core, there's something wrong. You know, they're basically wasting away, and they want to, you know, kind of put that on someone else and destroy everything else around them. 4, have you allowed an important relationship to slip through your fingers because you didn't find common ground upon which to connect? I think we've all done that. The problem is most of the time when you lose a friendship like that, you don't know that it would have been good because you lost it, you know? 5, think of an important relationship in your life that really needs to change. Up till now, you've used common ground approach to building a relationship before trying to initiate change. And I think that's the biggest thing is like everybody needs to think like me. Everybody needs to feel the way I do is kind of most people's approach to life, especially in the United States. I mean, it really is, especially in the United States. My friends that are from outside the country are usually more open to talking about different subjects and different ways to look at things than most of the people that I know here in the United States. We just talked about this yesterday with a friend. I think the reason is the programming here, the mental programming, the mental, I don't want to call it, I want to have the right word and I can't think of the right word, but the mental programming here, the order in which we're shown things and taught things and instructed to look at stuff, doesn't give us necessarily the skill set and or the tools to be able to look at things from multiple directions. And I'm not going to go into all the reasons why, but if you ever want to sit and talk about that and you're open to it, I can talk about why and bring up 30 subjects and get the reaction you get and then ask you where that came from, and we'll know right away that programming is pretty strong. The Matrix, the movie, was built off of this idea that the programming is so strong that you can show somebody an apple, and because you've been told your whole life it isn't, you'll argue, fight, and even hurt somebody to prove to them that it is, which is really sad, but that's just kind of the programming. So with that being said, what relationship right now do you need to improve and, you know, figure this out? Now, this is a principle of building big. Of course, this is the MLM Millionaire Show, so if you want to build a big organization, guys, I have people, Randy and I have people in our business that on certain subjects, we're like as far apart as possible. Like, we completely disagree on many subjects, but the things we agree upon are doing better. The things we agree upon is getting our dreams. The things we agree upon is being in business. The things we agree upon is helping people build their business. The things we agree upon are, we want people to do better and grow. And it's really the commitment to growth where a lot of this will start to shift and change. And if you guys agree upon this stuff, it makes life so much easier to build a business. You just have to focus on these things. And that's going to draw a very big crowd. And then from there, it's funny that, and I see it a lot, the people who are struggling the most have philosophies that are damaging. And I kind of had this conversation with a leader, somebody who's built a big business. I said, I'm seeing this more and more. Do you see this too? And they were like, I never looked at that or thought about it, but the more you talk about it, yeah, I get what you're talking about. That philosophy is damaging in business. So, focus on the good, look at what works for the biggest leaders out there. The people who built the biggest teams, look at what they focus on, look at what they talk about, look at how they connect with people, and you'll generally find they're finding that 1%, and that's what they're building upon. So.
All right, so with that, if you guys would like our notes, we're taking notes on each chapter. So if you guys would like those notes, I will put a link in the comments below so that way you could go subscribe to that. Also, go follow us on YouTube. If you search MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, you could go back and take some notes there and rewatch some videos of some books that we've done before. So with that, we will see you guys. Actually, we won't see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, Bess will be going over the next chapter. Let me pull up what we're going over. So Bess will be going over the patience principle. So if you guys would like to watch that, you need to go to Bess's page to find it, or it'll be uploaded to YouTube by the end of the day if you can't find it there. So with that, we will see you Thursday, and you will see Bess tomorrow.